Welcome back to my channel. This is Old New Dude. Starting something different with Old New Dude's reread. All fair use laws are in effect and spoilers are ahead. But at this point, if you ain't read the books, you get what you get. After watching Lucifer Means Lightbringer, a couple of the other channels, and all their literary knowledge and trying to open my eyes and see the forest for the trees, I was going to do a reread with my markers, and I read the prologue. Um, just a bunch of lines got marked through. Didn't catch it all. Can't put it into words as eloquently as they do, so I just gonna stick with what I know. Um, know people pretty good. Um, you're introduced to the three characters, and that's Garrett, Will, and Sir Waymore Royce. Garrett's 50-ish, which I can relate to. Um, been on the wall 40 years, seasoned, definitely not a coward. Um, seen a lot of things there, and you would think his words would carry a lot of weight, but they're led by the youngster, Sir Waymore, that's trying to make a name for himself, and it's only been at the wall for about a half a year. So we can all relate somehow to that. Um, and the book, he's full of piss and vinegar. In the show, they only filled him full of piss, no vinegar. They even stole his one redeeming quality in the book, which was his last stand. But we'll get to that. So they didn't do him real good justice. I don't dislike the character. I understand the character. Um, I mean, he's not an idiot, but he wants to prove something that drives him, and ends up him having to pay for the consequences of his choices. So, but Garrett, he made fun of his Royce and his cups. I mean, this he's been there 40 years. I mean, the guy's got to be a tank. I mean, even Will says if he pulls his sword, that'd be the end of Sir Waymore Royce. So, I mean, he's definitely somebody you want on your side fighting with you and not against you. Uh, but he seems like one of those people that I'd probably want to drink a beer with. I mean, you've probably seen him before in fantasy type shows or movies or anything like that. The guy in the back of the bar with a big old flagon that's just telling war stories, telling old ranging stories, just laughing, enjoying life when he's not ranging. Work hard, play hard, which was our motto when I was in the Navy. So I can understand that too. Um, so yeah, I'd definitely like to know that guy. I'd definitely like to have a beer with that guy. Will is the poacher, definitely a woodsman. Um, his word should be taken pretty good too. But like I said, Sir Waymore's got his own agenda, and I mean we're told how dark and scary the forest is, and how it's closing in and it's getting dark. And there's even a sentence in there that have the words dark and terror in the same sentence. So I mean that's your first taste of the night is dark and full of terror. Uh, I mean the way I see it is, and don't quote me because I didn't go to college, and all I did was pay attention to graduate high school. I didn't study or anything. Hence the reason I don't do research. Uh, I'm lazy. I'd rather do other stuff. I got a 5-year-old, so that just bites into the research time period right there. Um, the prologue, I'm assuming, with most of these books, is there's things in there that George wants us to just to know or see or set a tone. Well, set a tone. I mean, they say in my book on the first page, they say dead 9 times. So there's a lot of dead and death and talking about it and talking about how the cold is the true enemy. I mean, it's got to mean something later on for sure. And then Sir Waymore with his agenda. He won't let Garrett start a fire, which again should listen to wisdom. Man's 40 years north of the wall ranging. He knows what he's talking about. That could have saved somebody. Takes Will, goes to the camp, and that's when that's when it hits the fan. Will's not a coward. Not on the wall 4 years. There's no way. They'd have weeded out the coward, and he's not one. But him being in the tree and not wanting to say anything, that should tell you how scary the situation is. You got Sir Waymore standing there. His sword's already out, I think. But imagine an alien walking out of the woods right in front of you. It said tall. So, tall could be, I'm 5'6". I tell everybody 5'8". That's when I got construction boots on. So, tall to me is 6.5, 7. Could these things be 8 feet tall? I don't know. But just imagine a tall, white, strange-looking feller standing in front of you with his sword out, wanting you to dance with the pale blue light of his sword. Sir Waymore don't run. So imagine that was you. Would you run? And I don't think myself a coward, but I got news for you. I'd probably run. But in the likelihood that I couldn't run no more, then yeah, it's time to get it on. But he should listen to wisdom, but the boy don't lack for nerve, and he don't lack for bravery, and he doesn't lack for courage. So he does his thing. They dance a little bit. You're told how the sound of the swords clashing. It's not like a normal one. But the clashing of swords has also been referred to as a song of steel on steel. So with the title of A Song of Fire and Ice, in my head, in the back, I'm like, well, is that the song of sword on sword? But everybody keeps telling me that George didn't want about fighting. So I don't know if that's going to hold any water. And then there's 5 other of them that are twins of the first. Don't know if Will's got a good enough look that every one of the faces are the exact same, or if they just look so much similar that they look like twins. They're said to be standing there faceless, which I think is probably a nod to the faceless men that we're going to see later on. But at the beginning of the fight, the Utter takes a look at Sir Waymore's sword and pauses for a second. And then everybody might think that he was looking to see if it was Valyrian steel. Well, Valyria wasn't around when the first night happened, and I'm pretty sure that the Utters don't know squat about Valyria. And we're told later on by Nan that they hate iron in our blood and anything with warm blood. So, and then I want to say it was Lucifer, means Lightbringer, said something about they used to, you take a meteorite and just pound it straight out with a lot of hammering into the sword. You didn't have to forge it. So are they looking at that sword to see if it's a pounded out iron meteorite sword? We've heard of one sword made from meteorite later on, Dawn. But is that the one they're looking for? Or is it the all Valyrian swords are banged out of meteorites, certain kinds of meteorites with highly iron content in it? I don't know if I said lead a minute ago, but it's iron. See, I told you the memory problems. So we find out that something about dragon steel. Everybody assumes that's Valyrian steel. Well, if it's not, I mean, what if somebody said this, then please let me know in the comments, and I can give them props for it. But excuse me. What if dragon steel is comets have been called swords and dragons and all kinds of things over ancient times? So what if dragon steel is a sword made from a comet, and that's just it. There's nothing else to it. So that gave me pause. Don't necessarily think that he's looking for Valyrian steel. I almost said something different there. But they cut him. His blood's red and hot. And then, sorry about that. We got a little cold going around the house. And then final move, and then they all come in, and they're saying that once they saw his blood, then that was it. He wasn't the person they were looking for. We get a description of him. Gray eyes, graceful, slender. I mean, they say, not me, which I agree, but not me. That's Stark looking. So, were they particularly looking for this boy? Were they testing his skills? Were they testing his sword? Were they testing his blood? Why? What for? These are questions you ask yourself later on, but this is the first thing that you're given for the book. So I'm assuming that everything that happens in that is pretty much to kind of file back for later on when something else is said, and then it kind of triggers. You get a little light bulb to kind of put it all together. Well, apparently my light bulb needs changing because I ain't been able to put too much together here lately. I got the old style light bulbs too. But I mean, it's not a real long, it's only a couple pages long. But I worry about George when he puts a lot out. Is a lot of it just white noise, and you're just trying to listen for that one or two words here and there type situations? If the whole chapter is basically smoke and mirrors to hide what he really wanted to say in that chapter. So I get worried every time I read a chapter now. What's the smoke and mirrors? What did George want us to know? Cold is a true enemy is definitely something you needed to know. I think him looking at that sword, looking at the boy's blood, is definitely something you need to know. Them looking alike, probably something you need to know. Walking on top of snow, something you need to know. And then you see they didn't actually stick around and do anything to Sir Waymore. He was laying there. Will waited a long time till his arms ached. This boy can climb. So by the time he gets down there, Sir Waymore just turns. I mean, when they were, the others were standing over him, they were laughing. I mean, it ain't like they was doing some big old giant spell or anything. So does that mean everyone that dies north of the wall turns into the blue-eyed undead? Or is it just ones killed by the udders? I like saying udders, so thank you. The whole thing just makes you want to write down 20 questions just to kind of keep for later on down the road. And George says most things we need to know is in that first book, Game of Thrones. So when this reread keeps going, and it's definitely keeping going, because I like going back and taking a closer look, even though a lot of that stuff's kind of, even with the hat on, over my head, can't look up too well. So it was different than the first time I read it. Now, I mean, first time I read it, I'd already seen the show, so you noticed things that were different, but it wasn't the. I think I said before, you weren't on. I wasn't on the edge of my seat to find out what happens next, because I thought I knew what was going to happen next, even though it wasn't the exact same. Which is, I mean, I don't know why they did it, but here you got a nobleman's son went to the wall, and he's got 6 aliens standing around him, bigger, stronger, faster, and he's like, "Let's go, bring it on." That just, I mean, the actor should have gotten the chance to play that out, in my book. And I know the books are the books and the show is the show, and I generally don't gripe too much about the show on camera. But yeah, I think he got robbed on that. And then later on in the show, you got Will being the one that goes north. But in the books, is Garrett. I hope I say that right. And that leaves a whole lot of other questions going on, and we'll get into that when we go into Brand 1. But yeah, just thoughts rumbling in the head. Read the chapter, still love it. I mean, it's not Battle of the Bastards, goosebumps raising type loving it, but still loving it. It's still beautiful to read. George paints a pretty picture. He needs a big old fro and a easel and holding some paints. But yeah, that's it. That's the prologue to Game of Thrones. My stupid views on it. And if you watch this video, thank you. If you didn't watch this video, I got nothing to say, because you can't hear it. Don't care if you like, don't care if you subscribe. I'm going to try to put out one a day on these, because I ain't got no tech to do. And shout out to, what is it, Alicia Patience, that's starting her channel back up with the fairy tale aspect of what George has put into his work. And mad props to her. I mean, that is, it's like Ellen. You got to kind of stick with what you know. And I'm a jack of all trades and don't know nothing. So, but I watched her first video. If you get a chance, please do. It's pretty good. I like her take on it. Did not catch any of that at all. Just like I didn't catch anything LML said. So maybe I ain't as smart as I think I am. But yeah, don't care if you like, don't care if you subscribe. Please leave a comment though. The 1 or 2 people that ain't related to me. Excuse me. I need a drink. I need to go with Garrett to the back of the bar and tell war stories. Pretty sure he won't understand my Navy stories though. But yeah, leave a comment and stay safe. I know it's 4th of July weekend. Be careful. Take care of yours, and I'll take care of mine. And I'll see you next time on Old New Dudes Reread. Thank you very much.